I want to stop doubting my emotions and accept that life is inherently dramatic, and to accept that. Accepting the parts that can't change and working on the parts that can helps immensely. I am still a bit too dramatic and have too big of an ego, but those things can be changed. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a little too dramatic. About a month ago, I went backpacking with my father up to a lake. We hiked in about 3 miles and then slept right near the lake and went fishing. We had a lot of really good conversations during the hike and also when we were camping, but I remember there was one part that really stuck out to me. We were talking about how we feel about certain things and how we feel about our family, and then I remember him expressing something, and instead of following the thought through, he stopped and said, "Oh, I'm just being dramatic though." So I asked him what he meant. "What do you mean it's dramatic? You're just talking about how you feel." And he hesitated and he stopped and he gave me this peculiar look like, "What do you mean?" Then went on to say, "Well, just when you're going on and on about something that's hard or whatever, but I can handle it." I asked him why he thought expressing his feelings was dramatic. And he responded to me that when you're someone who has seen horrible things or has done things that are very difficult, the small pains in life seem minuscule compared to what a lot of people can feel or have been through. Now, I agreed with this sentiment, but he was unable to express a lot of the feelings that he had because he felt nervous about being dramatic or over the top with how he felt. I think being dramatic in a social setting carries with it a lot of negative connotations. It implies that you're acting or you're playing up a part because you want attention or you're trying to get something that you can't just outright state. The problem is when we are trying to be honest or we're trying to put ourselves out into the world with some piece of truth that we have, but we haven't practiced it, and so it comes off in a way that seems dramatic. But when those around us, or even ourselves, particularly ourselves, labels our honesty as drama, we downplay the reality of how we feel and what's going on inside of ourselves. By labeling someone's emotion or your own emotion as dramatic, you allow yourselves to distance yourself from the reality of it. You allow yourself to see it as though they aren't being honest. They're acting, they're making up their emotions, or they're displaying this charade in order to coax you into something or to get something out of you. And when we see it in ourselves, we see that there's this part of us that wants something, that needs something. And so when we express our feelings, it seems like we're trying to manipulate people into giving us what we want because we've met or seen so many people do the same thing to us. The reality is that we do want or need something. Humans are emotional creatures. When we cry, we're both releasing an emotion and working through our own mental difficulties while also signaling to others that we need support and kindness and attention and love. That's not a negative thing. It's not a bad thing to show others that we need help and that we need love. And I think when someone who has never been shown or taught how to ask for love or how to ask for attention, they still feel that lack of attention. And yet whenever they try to reach out, they punish themselves and they say, "I'm too dramatic," or "I'm just playing a game because I need attention." And so they immediately shut up. And what that results in is a person who can never ask for love, or a person who can never speak up for the attention that they need. There are plenty of people out there who will ask and ask and ask for attention, and when you give it to them, it's still never enough. And those people are difficult to deal with, but they overshadow so many of us who, instead of being honest about our feelings, downplay what we feel because of those that we've seen in the past who use that charade and that drama against us in order to get something out of us. Living a full life is about existing honestly. It is about telling those around you how you honestly feel and not being afraid to do so. Vulnerability is about being around people that you don't have to prepare your words for. When we label ourselves as dramatic, we stop ourselves from being honest. We stop ourselves from being able to express how we feel in that vulnerability. We put a line in front of us and say, if we cross that, we're just being like those other people in the past. Those people who have hurt us or have used us. It's not dramatic to be honest. And if someone around you who you care about calls you dramatic for stating the truth, that's not your fault. You should not be afraid of being honest with those around you. If you're afraid of being honest with those around you, you shouldn't look into yourself and be angry at yourself for the honesty that lies within, but instead be angry at those around you for being unable to accept that truth. There is so much safety in honesty and in truth. If you express yourself as eloquently as you're able to, without any inhibitions, then you should be accepted for whatever that truth is, because you know that there's no other intention other than to express that truth. In this way, you can be safe in knowing that the reactions of those around you, whether they be negative or positive, are reactions based upon that person's own psyche. Look for those who react to you in positive ways, even when the honesty inside of you is hard to express, and cut ties with those who react to you in ways that are always negative. A good person will see vulnerability as a positive trait. A harmful person is intimidated by vulnerability because vulnerability is what they're afraid of. Life is inherently dramatic. We're all playing an act. To disallow ourselves from playing that act in a way that we feel is right is dishonest. It's more dishonest than acting. The most important part is to ensure that you're acting based around your best intentions, based around an idea of truth, of humility, and of honesty. So long as you are doing this, then anyone who should call you dramatic is a fool. You are acting in goodwill. You are acting in a way that is positive and is willing to give love to those around you. I think there are many people who have a lot to say and they feel so much more than they ever express. But because they feel that those around them who are dramatic use emotions as weapons, they themselves are afraid of releasing their emotions. Ultimately, what I'm saying is that you can't be dramatic if you're being honest, because dramatic implies acting, but if you're being honest, then you're being exactly who you are. An important part of honesty is that you don't have to prepare for it. It is whatever comes out of your mouth, even if it's not what you intend. The point of vulnerability is that you can say, hey, I said that, but what I meant is this. It's that you have the power to correct yourself. It's that you know that you can walk up to anyone and through trial and error, eventually express to them how you feel in some way. And that's the important part of vulnerability. But we can't do that if we feel that we're being dramatic, because every time we try to express ourselves, we'll stop. We'll be scared that we're just acting or that we're trying to get something out of someone. It is not a sin to want love. It is not a sin to want attention. So long as you're being honest about what you want and what you need, and you are not intending to hurt anyone, there is nothing dramatic about expressing how you feel or what you want.